What's up, everyone? Welcome to. Hold on.
Huh? Hello?
Okay, we're live already. Are you okay with that?
Oh, okay, sure. Sorry. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, no
go.
worries.
Are you
No,
sure?
no, I'm done. I've got everything. It's all good.
Okay, okay. So what we're gonna do? Hi, how are you doing, beautiful?
Oh, hello. Long day, but I'm okay. I'm just gonna get my notebook. 2 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
You're such a darling. Um. Well, welcome everyone to my live stream. Today I will have two guests. I'm gonna have Scarlett Bales and I have Malifica. I've never had three guests, so I'm really excited about doing this because it's and the energy between us I know is gonna flow because we are all Hekate's devotees. So we have lots in common. We've all worked with the primal craft, and I thought that's something we can talk about too. But first, because I got Scarlett waiting for us. So what I told her what we're gonna do is talk a little bit about my ritual that I performed for you last month, April 1st.
hmm
I did the ritual for four people just to test it out. And oh, all four of them have had really profound uh experiences. So I have no clue what Malefica has to say tonight. We've been waiting for her just to tell me what's up with that. The ritual was to unblock blockages for anybody with for creativity, inspiration, um, motivation with their businesses, music, art, anything. But what happened, which was weird, is usually with a lot of my rituals that I perform, I have an idea of how I'm going to do it. The spirits tell me how to do this, but then I don't think about it till that day, and then I get overwhelmed with all these things I need to do. And what ended up doing was working on each of you guys separately, and I was able to look into your astral energy bodies and work. And specifically, there were certain things that I was able to do for each of you guys, and I didn't really say too much about it until I wanted to see how you guys what happened after. But then yeah, so I was able to see certain energy blockages within you and to really use Astarte's energy, Anana's energy, to pierce through your creativity, uh, creativity part of your brain, I guess you could say. You know what I
hmm
mean? Just kind of what I've been doing with myself. Anyways, I'm blabbering away. I just wanted to give you guys. Oh, also, now that I've performed it and it was a success, I will be offering it um, to the public now. So you guys, if you want this done, I do monthly rituals now. I don't take on like 20 people. I want to take on less than 10 people. That way I can really work on you guys with as much energy as I can. If I do it as a big group, right? I don't feel I'm there yet. I just want to really give a more intimate ritual for you guys. But anyways, so April May 1st is my second one. If you guys want to be part of this, just email me and I'll put my email down there. Oh, I'm having such a bad hair day. But anyways, okay. I, I just got into the shower and it's so like just like I don't even know what this is. I don't know. But anyways, okay.
You should have seen. I don't have natural curly hair, so this morning I had a video call, like a business call. And I still had curlers in my hair.
You got some soup
So
cans in there. All right.
uh,
So tell me a little bit of what happened. And tell my viewers. I think people are surprised when you, even with me, when I hire a magician to do magic for me. As soon as I make
mhm.
that transaction, that energy exchange, things start to happen. I don't even have to wait for the ritual to actually happen. Usually, things happen before that. It's kind of like a sign that it's already happened. things are going away. But anyways, go.
No,
How was it? What happened?
as you said, now absolutely, I should probably put things in context. Now,
Mm.
there are three things that I do that I make costume, and I've got a walking tour company, and then I do the magic and all of those things. So my problem has always been finding the balance to get it all like in orbit, to find it, because especially we've just entered the energy of Libra, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to enter another new moon. So the problem that I had before the ritual, I had all these ideas, and but I just didn't know. It's not so much the motivation was there, but I just didn't know where to begin and where to start. As you said, I felt a little bit overwhelmed, and ever since you've done the ritual, it wasn't on the day so much. I think it was only from the second or the third day. But it wasn't just the fact you've done ritual, and even myself like did work from this side. I started like just making notes and brainstorming, and kind of forecasting where I want to go, where I want the business to go, because for me, my magic business, everything is such a learning curve. And sometimes when you enter in a new journey, you feel so overwhelmed with, is this going to work? Is that going to work? And me personally, and that's what the ritual helped with for me, especially. The blockage was myself. I think I had like this subconscious kind of fear of, what if I fail? What if I don't make the deadline? What if I don't do what I know in myself? So it all kind of, it's really slowly but surely start to happen. I had a bit of a blip a week ago, because it was first, and I thought, oh my god, I can't do this. I had a bit of a meltdown, and this is not going to work. But then somehow, either I think one evening, I was just doing my meditation, and I must have gone in that state where I kind of left my body and went on the astral plane. And like those preliminary stages, your body, you're just on the astral, and I was looking back at myself, and I saw something here. I didn't quite know what it was, and I went back into my body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't, at the moment where I am in my studies, I can't control yet when I astral project or when I don't. But I think, just to kind of bring everything back, what we were talking about, it really has set things in motion, and I can feel it. It's not just on the astral. It's not just it's all round. So I think you've done a tremendous job, and now it's just like, for
A
the
good
last
flow.
week, it's just a flow. I mean, I've seen this before. Well, sorry, and I almost spoke Afrikaans there. Because I've had one of those days. I've been up until 6 o'clock this morning, but yeah, I'm definitely more motivated. And suddenly, I think the last few days, I've just had this clarity, realizing that instead of looking at the mountain that I have to scale, let's start baby steps. But let's start here, so it's not so overwhelming. And yeah, um, it's all good. I can highly recommend it. So, and good job.
A lot of you guys said that the blockage was them. They didn't
Yeah.
realize that
Mm-hmm.
they were sabotaging themselves. And honestly, it is all us. It's in us. We're worst enemies. Doubting is the worst thing you can do to yourself, is when you doubt. People, a lot of people, I find, knock people and make fun of people for just trying. It's like, when did it like become not cool to try? Why are you pulling people down? This is when all your shadow starts to build. When you're young is when you're doing what you love to do, and with
Mm-hmm.
passion, and that people knocking your shit down, and then that is casted, and you bury
Mm-hmm.
that down, and it just really fucks up your whole path, because you're not going on your truest desire and of what you want it to do. But I'm just so happy that I have a couple of other reviews that they're going to be making videos,
Mm-hmm.
that everybody's having the same type of experience and the flow. um, that's what I wanted. That was my goal, is to remove that blockage so you guys can continue creating. And that's awesome. I'm really, really, really happy.
It's also given me a voice. Just I don't want to go into details today, but normally, I'm sure we're all familiar, depending on the kind of person you are and your background, especially as a creative. I've always been I've always been put down like, why do you want to do that? And why are you doing that for? And that's a bit weird. And why don't you scale it down? And earlier today, and ever since, so business wise, things couldn't be better. I'm starting things from scratch. So I'm establishing the business. I'm doing everything from the ground up, but through hard work and determination. And it's interesting, like, people that I've known for a while now, people are starting to see that I'm building things up and I'm doing things, and it's just, through trial and error. And I had someone earlier, a few hours ago, and he made a comment, but just, a really backhanded comment. And he was kind of criticizing me as a person. And he said to me, and actually, we can talk about this as empowered woman. And he said, your problem is, Malifica, is you're way too opinionated, and things would be so much easier for you if you just keep your mouth shut and do as you're told. Now, I'm not proud of this, but we were so and
Who
this
is
is
this
where
guy? This guy
hold
living
on.
in the 1920s?
So you'd be so proud, and I know Hekate is proud of me as well. This was in a public place. I don't like the fact that I might have, but the next moment I just hit my fists and I slammed them on the table. And I said, "How fucking dare you?" And I stood up and I said, "I am not, I said, I will eat your soul and devour you." And at that moment in time, but it's also what the gods are trying to teach us: empower, embrace your own, like, we're all different, embrace your power. And he was so chauvinistic and old fashioned. And then I thought, in retrospect, I can laugh about it. I mean, it's not an insult at all because of where it came from, but just to, again, how the gods empower us.
They set up a
And
stage for you. They set that up. That's how I look
yeah,
at it. They set up the stage to
exactly.
see how you give you that opportunity to fight, to see your passion, to fight for it,
Mhm.
and to put that fucking guy in his place,
I can laugh about it now. Luckily, the people who know me, I'm not someone to make a scene or what, but when I stood up, and what's interesting, I've noticed that when you call that power, when you embrace them and when they're part of you, I've been told that by even people who don't practice. Afterwards, when I spoke to one of the lassies who was a witness when she saw this, and
Yeah.
I was calm. I got up, and she said, "This is the strangest thing I've ever seen. Your aura, you looked 4 times the size that you are. When
Yeah.
you got up, you looked like." Okay, so if you've seen Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf said to I think it was Frodo, don't take me as a conjurer of cheap tricks, where he and that happened. And literally everyone was really, really quiet. They were just completely stunned. And
Mhm.
but that wasn't down to me. And I felt like Hekate's feminine energy, and just standing up, like, why should I? And the only reason he made that comment, and he said, it's because I'm a man, and women just need to know their place. And things will be so much easier for you because you speak too much and you don't listen and you don't shut up.
Yeah. Okay, I got Scarlett coming on now, so let me add her in. This is your first time meeting. It's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna bring the cool bitches together. Oh, uh-oh. Hey,
Hi.
hey,
Hello.
Scarlett.
Let me move my camera.
Yay. So this is cool, right? Okay. This because Scarlett wants to know more about your StreamYard too. You can add 3. I don't know about more than 3, Scarlett. I only saw you can add 3 people, but you could perhaps add more, but I don't know. There is a layout, but I don't. Maybe you could. I don't know. But anyways, welcome. Welcome.
Are all 3 of us on the thing?
Yes.
Okay,
Should I put my glasses on? We can be trio.
Yeah. So Malifica, this is Scarlett. Scarlett Malifica.
Oh, hi there. Nice to meet you.
So I just want to say, I saw Scarlett's post, I think it was yesterday, and that you're either applying for doctoral school
I'm
or
graduating, girl. I'm graduating in fall of this year.
Oh,
amazing.
Wow. So congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm graduating a semester ahead.
Yeah. Oh.
So yeah. So I thought I was going to have to graduate like next summer or next spring 2023, but nope. So I'm getting ready to graduate.
Well,
what? I think it's just because I'm able to just pile the classes on. I had some extra classes that were relating to my dissertation.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's basically just doing the dissertation. So I was like, let's just do it all since it's basically the same class. And my advisor was like, yeah, let's do that. So she knows I can handle it. And so here we are. This is where I'll be going.
It's funny because when I talk with Scarlett and she uses big words like dissertation, I'm like, I know. Hold on.
I can't even speak English properly.
Okay, so a dissertation is the thesis work, I guess you could say, the grand finale project of your doctorate degree is based on.
Wow.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, she's the psychiatrist for the LHP.
You know what? And if I can provide that for people, I'm totally all about it. You know, I know that I am kind of a rare bird because there's not a lot of psychiatrists out there that really engage themselves in metaphysics and spirituality, I guess. But I mean, there are a few that, you know, but, you know, I'm not going to be quick to diagnose somebody with schizophrenia if they're telling me they're talking to spirits, you know.
No, I know. So, well, actually, it makes you more knowledgeable. Like, you know, you can, because I people that don't know that side and have experienced spirits, it's going to make it more difficult for them to be able to diagnose somebody, I would think. But I'm sure, I mean, schizophrenia is kind of easy. When I've seen schizophrenia, even though there's like mild cases, and I've watched so much documentary on people with schizophrenia to open up the stigma and stuff like that, there is, you know, people that can function and you wouldn't know they have schizophrenia to like the serious degrees of where they can't even really fit in society. But anyways, so let's so we all have one thing in common here. We all work with Hekate. I thought that yeah. I thought if you guys want, we talk about Hekate. And I was thinking, why don't we hear some stories of maybe how she's empowered your life. And you know, I think a lot of people have her misunderstood, you know, and I think a lot with a lot of spirits are, you know, you watch YouTube videos and you read books, but it only says certain things and it's always the same things about certain spirits, and you just get a little bit of it, and until you actually have a relationship with them, it's completely different, you know, for me, right? So I thought we could well, yeah, Scarlett, let's hear you first, and then Malifica, and then I'll jump in. Let's how did you meet Hekate?
Okay, well, I think she's just always in our lives, right? But you hear about your basic witchcraft, the maiden mother, and the crone. So you're already learning about Hekate right there. Because brought into that the whole 3 moon phase aspects of right hand path witchcraft. So I guess that would maybe be, but I mean, I don't know. She's been on and off with me for a long time, but I think the major work that I've done with her was through the primal craft, Mark Allen Smith's work. And I know that his work is, you know, controversial or whatever, but I love it. And she has been very, very, very responsive when I've worked through that current. Probably, I mean, almost alarmingly responsive, like you would see in a diaspora with working with ancestors. Like she was so close. Or maybe she, you know, maybe I'm just connected to her. You know what I mean? So we have this linkage, this connection. We find that as we go through life, we may or may not repeat some of the relationships that we've had with demonics or angels or just spirits, entities. They come back into your life, and you can feel that familiarity. Did I say that right? That's my aluminum word. And the other one is notoriety. Oh God, I can't even say
Notoriety.
Notoriety. Notoriety.
He's dyslexic
I
one.
can't even say it right.
Did you just say aluminum?
Yeah, I can't
still
even
think
say
it's
that
funny
word.
when you say aluminum.
But yeah, his work is where I experienced the strongest current from her. And I mean, there was one time when I evoked her, and it was starting to rain outside when I started this evocation. And it was amazing because as I was calling her and I felt her starting to come, there was like this tapping outside, and it was a drip from the rain, right? It's no big deal, right? But it's like it went in line with me, with her chanting, you know, and it sped up as I got into that frenzy and everything like that. And it was like the water, I don't know, was the water directing me or was I directing the water, you know? But as soon as I finished and was, you know, called her and she was there, it stopped like on cue. It was amazing. And it's just things like that. Or trying to think of another time. She's just always been really, really present every time I've worked with her.
Yeah. I like seeing her in astral realms. Like, I don't know for you guys, but she also seems with me. It's like I've been told now with my practice, like I have a group 6 spirits that I'm going to stick with. You know, I got 3 primary female ones, and I got the 3 male ones, and there's a triangle to both. Obviously, the triangle, but these 3 are very strong in my life because, you know, you go work through so many spirits, but it's always like those ones that always kind of stay there, but they come back. With Hekate, she was like that with me because when I first saw her, when I first saw information on her, I was like, whoa, whoa, who is she? Mm-hmm. And then I always saw like gay men on working with her. I'm like, oh, maybe she doesn't want to work with me. Maybe she only works with gay men, you know, because I was calling her, she wasn't coming. I was so dumb, right? But like that's what I thought because I would call her. But then the wolf started to appear in my dreams. And there was this one that was I still remember it. This wolf face, no eyes, but just one eye in the middle of the forehead of the wolf.
Yeah.
Green. It was a green eye. I know now that was Hekate.
Oh, yeah, green eyes, yeah.
The green eye, you know. And she was just preparing me to work with her because she obviously, you know, she is very on to point, and she has that discipline of the mother in you. She's so protective of her kin, and I do believe very strongly that the ones who are called to her have a lot of past lives with her.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the feeling that I got as well. You know, the first thing that she said to me it was purely random. Like I said in the previous one, the book Queen of Hell just found me, and I was sitting in a Neolithic stone circle, and Avebury it's like Stonehenge, not as commercial, but it's a Neolithic stone circle. So we're looking at there's ley lines, a space of power that's been here for several thousands of years. And one moment I was just sitting and, you know, in a meditative state, and her voice just came through, and it was almost like as soon as she spoke, it's just like she's always been there, and ever since. Like sometimes, like when I'm at a point now that even when I just open the gateway or light the candles, it's like they've never left. They watch everything.
Exactly what it is.
They're constantly here. And in the beginning, for me, I've always had a dubious relationship with females because this is an amazing treat for me. So it's like, wow. I've been fans of your work, both of you. But for me, it was just like, because I've been portrayed before, especially by females, and
Yeah.
I didn't quite like from the right hand, from the Wiccan perspective, a lot of these goddesses. For me, it always came across, it's a bit like, you go to church, oh, obey me and I will do this. And Hekate, what I love about is her strong sexual energy as well.
Yes.
She
Hmm.
owns her sexuality. And when she comes, like, and she's learned, or she's taught me how to embrace my feminine intuition on walls and my feminine sexuality. And she's such an empowering force to work with.
And
And
you said it right
yeah.
there. And that's exactly why when people talk about using magic or spirits to heal them of their trauma or something, it's the empowering part of that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the trusting in yourself. So when you have a goddess like that you're dedicated to and you're working with like that, you are repairing that attachment injury,
Mm-hmm.
and you're also learning to trust yourself and have
Mm-hmm.
confidence in yourself. And you're also learning to what it is to stand confidently and putting up your boundaries confidently and not letting people run all over you or take advantage of you, right?
When
So
you said boundaries, it's exactly, and this is what she kept on telling me. There was, I mean, I've said this before, like, coming from a background where I'm constantly being told that you're not good enough, things like that. But she enables you to find that strength in yourself to stand up and then saying no and setting up that boundaries. Because in the past, the person I was before I began working with them would have been, you want to be amenable, you agree to things, you don't want to rock the boat.
chronic.
Exactly. Yeah. So you end up agreeing to things, and then you end up in situations and you think, why the hell am I here? But she enables you and go like, wait a second, girl. And I remember once I was just sitting here without thinking, and that she obviously picks up on my thoughts, and she goes, look, we believe in you, so why can't, listen, girly, snap out of it.
Well, and
And
it takes time for
yeah,
that, right? It takes time to
exactly.
believe in yourself and everything.
Hmm.
And it's also very empowering in the fact that it gives back that person a sense of control and autonomy,
Definitely.
self-efficacy and
Absolutely.
advocacy. So
Hmm.
those are the ways that magic can help you with your mental health. Now, if you've got trauma and you've got
Hmm.
magic is not going to help you rectify the reasons that you have trauma. That
Absolutely. No,
you need
I
a
agree.
that you need a guide to take you
Hmm.
through shadow work if you're going to do something psychodynamic and Jungian, or
Hmm.
or EMDR or whatever. You need somebody to take you through that to fully reprocess it. But
Hmm.
you can definitely heal very many parts of yourself and have a lot of symptom remission from
Hmm.
magical work. Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
magic has helped me so much. Like, I was listening to the discussion that you guys had before about mental health, and it's quite often that people who, I mean, a lot of people who are into magic, like, either had past trauma, things like that. We can't help who our parents are, how we grew up. But what magic has taught me, that there are certain things, like as a child, I had a very toxic mother, and I think that's the reason why I had a lot of issues with trusting females.
Oh yeah.
And through magic and through Hekate being like almost like a mother figure, she's taught me that there's, and my mother would always project everything that was wrong in her life was my fault.
Hmm.
And then when you realize, when they give you the strength, so, but you have to do this for yourself. They're not going to give you a magic pill, a bullet. This is why it's called shadow work.
Yeah.
It is ready. I mean, it's really, it's either going to make you or break you. And when you get to the other side, but they do give you, as you work with them, the understanding. I've learned like why certain things affected me the way that it did. I now understand my triggers,
Hmm.
accepting things that you can change and that you cannot change, and going forward. And earlier, I think we might have mentioned like the topic. This is why the left-hand path on the surface, it looks like a very dark kind of. Someone recently once told me they saw my necklace and like, oh yeah, but aren't you like a bunch of devil worshippers? I don't have to explain myself to anyone. I know on the surface, but when you delve deeper, and as you said, from a Jungian perspective, when you work with the shadow, that's essentially what we do. That's when you discover the light. That's when you overcome. That's when you build a bridge over the abyss. And yeah, and I think that's what she's taught me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly correct. You're building a bridge between the conscious and the subconscious so that
Hmm.
you can make that conversation. And you have to remember that the subconscious is primal. So the
Yeah.
language, the manifestations are going to be different than what's in the consciousness. And
Hmm.
so that's one of the reasons why I think some people just can't understand it. If you think about it this way, the subconscious is nonverbal, if you want to think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're going to have a lot of somatic and emotional upset. But like, and this is why you need a guide. This is why you need somebody that knows
Hmm.
how to do this type of work, whether it's ego state work or it's Jungian therapy. Because if somebody jumps in there and they open the gates to the subconscious, what happens is it floods. It floods the person, and
Yeah.
then they can't handle it. It's not regulated. It's not moderated. They're not ready for it. They haven't done anything in terms of regulating the autonomic nervous system. They haven't learned
Mhm.
how emotions evolve in a beginning, a middle of and an end. They haven't worked at all with the inner conflicts that they're having.
Mhm.
And so they just try to jump right into the abyss, as they call it, and
Yeah.
open the gate. And that's why you see a lot of people's lives kind of take a shit.
Mhm.
They're not doing it the proper way. It's kind
Mhm.
of like somebody who's just beginning a magic starting at step 12 instead of step 1.
Yep.
That's why it's important, I think, for grimoires to come out that are more basic on the steps of like preparing to do it
There's a
rather.
million books out there.
Huh?
There's a million books out there. Every right hand path, Buckland, Conway,
Mhm.
Dion Fortune, fucking witchcraft book that you can find out there will give you the basics of
Mhm.
ritual, of meditation, of candle magic. It
Yeah,
gives you those lower level
yeah,
lessons. But
Mhm.
this is why, in my opinion, that black magic stuff is advanced. It's more advanced. You have to have a
Mhm.
foundation first. You need to
yeah,
study the right hand path in
yeah,
order to go into the left hand path.
yeah.
I don't think I don't think you're as prepared to always just go into this left hand path, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
very useful things to learn on the right hand path, such
Hmm.
as healing and love and compassion and patience. And I mean, not to say that the people necessarily, but the lessons that are there are one of taking you to the internal level and being able to not only communicate with yourself and your higher self, but also successful
Mhm.
communication with the spirits that you want to work with. And having that dedication and doing full moon rituals every month is a
Mhm.
structure.
Yeah,
Okay. It
Yep.
teaches you what it is to work with a spirit on long term. It teaches you about your own self discipline. It teaches you to
Mhm.
what are you going to do when the fire gets a little too hot? Are you gonna jump ship and run to the Catholic Church and say I'm done with it all? Or
Mhm.
are you gonna stay in the fire and
Mhm.
see what that transformation is going to turn into? So
That's what Bilal told me from the beginning. He said, like, I mean, the kind of person, as you said, so we all start, as a neophyte. Oh, this is cool. What's this gonna do? So because it's exciting, it's new, and you dabble a little bit, and then when you realize the value of it's like when you learn guitar, you have
Mhm.
to learn your basic scales in
Yeah,
order to play a tune, and it's the same
exactly.
with magic as well. And I
Hmm.
know it sounds boring, and it sounds, but I've had someone ask me, how do you do magic? I said, first of all, just study and
Hmm.
get your basics, like figure out just sitting still for 15 minutes of a day and try and bring your concentration or your back just to meditate,
Yeah,
just sitting still, not being distracted, and having the discipline to do that every day at the
yeah.
same time. And all of these little baby steps within it, maybe a year down the line. Now, for example, you never thought, like, when you begin meditation, it depends on the day. One day you're more distracted than the other, but now, over years of practice, you can just sit, you can close your eyes, get into a certain type of breathing, and before you realize, you're out of your body and you're doing so. There is a reason why we're doing this, and it's just down to discipline. But then, like the god said as well, magic, true magic, and it's not for everyone, unfortunately.
That's correct.
But you don't know until you try. It's one of those things. It's not a spectator sport. You know, if you're just gonna have to jump in and do it and see where it takes you.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah. What else, ladies? Give me something else. So who? Tell me a little bit more about your work with Azazel, Scarlett, because I know you're really close with him. I don't know if you talked about Azazel. Like, have you worked with all the Watchers, or have you only worked with Azazel? Like, how have you worked with more than Azazel and stuff?
Yeah, well, you know, like in Four Thrones, you know, we work with Azazel, Amamon, Belial, and Abaddon.
Yeah,
Azazel is definitely my go-to. He's my patron.
Yeah.
But he's been with me for generations, and with my family. I think it has something to do with following this witch line that I have in my family. I recently found out that I'm like 3% Romani, and that was something that had always been talked about in my family, because my family is from Lithuania.
Yeah.
So it was strange. You know, I like ended a pact of my, okay. So from what I understand, Azazel, before, somewhere along the lines, Mikael became like a guardian of the family. And it was always said that we have this protective thing with Mikael, and it extends to people of our family and the outsiders that we love and care for, that we consider family. But once that has been betrayed and then they are pushed out for whatever reason, say like a boyfriend, right? He's protected while he's with me, but once we break up, then that protection is no longer. And it's been amazing to watch over the years, because it's exactly done the way it said it's done. The person is protected. And then as soon as they exit the family in whatever way, then it's just, you could see the difference in things happening in their life. It's no longer an easier ride. It just seems like it gets a little more difficult. But he told me that after I did my Lake of Fire ritual, I basically I broke a pact with Mikael. And I think he still watches over my other family, but for me personally, he does not. What I've been told in different readings for past lives or whatever, that I am like the skipped generation. So this probably goes back to my great-great-grandmother, or maybe even before. Somewhere along the lines, it changed hands. My grandfather named his first son Michael, and that seemed to be something that was passed through the family, that said that is what needed to be happen in order to honor. So I thought that was interesting. But anyway, so I broke that off for myself when I did the Lake of Fire ritual, and then that's how I found out that Azazel was like my patron type of person. So I mean, I guess he's always been around me. You know, I don't know really much what to say. I mean, it's the relationship is always there.
How old are your kids? Are they teenagers now?
Yeah, they'll be 15 and 17 in a few months.
Are they have interest on the spirits?
You know, my younger son Vinny has some. I remember one time, you know, he was real little. He must have been about 8. And Nate went to the store, and Vinny comes racing out of his room when Nate got home with the groceries, and he's unpacking everything, and he went, "Holy cow!" And I was like, we were all like, "What?" He goes, "You left the house and you didn't ask me what I wanted, so I thought about it in my brain, and I told you to buy 2 boxes of Cookie Crisp, and you did." And we were like, Very good. Very good. Yeah. So they have some knowledge of it. They know what we do. They know what it means when we say, oh, we got to do ritual tonight for 4 thrones or whatever. They know about the spirits of that we work with and everything like that. And they are interested, but they're not one to practice themselves at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they love it.
I have that with my mom too. My mom's so super psychic. Like she knows what I'm thinking, and that's fucking scares me. And I'm like, fuck, bitch. Like she's in my head.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it used to freak my dad out because me and my mom had really, really well-developed ESP. And it was real crazy. Like she would come in, are you thinking about me? Or are you calling me? And it was like, no, but I was thinking about you. The same thing with her. She'd have a headache. And next thing I know, I'd have a headache, you know, and it wasn't like we were saying, she didn't say to me, I have a headache. And then all of a sudden I got a headache. It was like, she got a headache and I got a headache. And I was like, do you have anything? I got a headache. And she goes, you must have gave it to me. I was like, whatever, just give me some Advil. But, you know, it's in my family on my mother's side. I have second sight. She has second sight. One of my cousins that's one of my cousins, my aunt on my mom's side. He has second sight. My brother has second sight. And I mean, it's everybody had it, but not all the people took the path of the witch. So even though my mom, like I grew up Roman Catholic, and my mom would still read tarot cards and we'd play Ouija board and we'd do all the spirituality stuff and everything like that, they still went to church. But I was the only one and my cousin who
your mom was a bad Christian lady.
Yeah, right. I know. But I was the only one that like dedicated myself to the path and has been living that even when they've tried to blame my problems on Wicca.
I got mine from my dad. My dad is a boy. There were stories. My grandmother was an eccentric lady, and she would like some days she'd be in the kitchen, like, and I would say, Nan, how are you doing? She was like, oh no, I saw the coach with the 6 black horses, and she would be very dramatic about it. And that meant when she would have one of her visions, like, so she would sometimes get these dreams. And so her kind of thing, she would have dreams and things that would manifest. And she was a great storyteller. And she would tell me, like, my dad was a boy, like when he was very little, he had a tendency to see people who have just passed away. So he was playing one day, and a mutual friend of theirs, she was at home and she was cooking, and my dad ran into the kitchen. He said to her, Mom, like Uncle Bob's here. And because my dad saw this guy going into my grandfather's bedroom and was taking a nap at the time, she goes, okay, I'll take out another cup and saucer for him. And when she got to the bedroom, she goes, well, where's Bob? And my grandfather's like, who are you talking about? They just got a phone call, and at that moment he died. But what's interesting, my father, as he grew up, because of the Christian indoctrination, he's always been very, now, if you speak to him about any of this, no, it doesn't happen, it doesn't exist. Whereas my grandmother was far more open. And when I was little, when I realized I didn't always know what I was seeing, and then it was my first foray into magic is when I realized I could see spirits.
Yep.
And it's kind of weird because they look just like
they do.
When you and then you kind of have conversations with them until someone comes into the room, like, who are you talking to? Oh, this is my friend. And they're like,
that's exactly what happened to me too. My mother told me about this, obviously, because I can't remember it because my hippocampus is not formed. But
yeah,
she said that when I was 2, I had an imaginary friend. He would always come out of the closet, and she would be like, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm like, my friend. You know, it's just my friend. And she's like, okay, you know, imaginary friend, kid. But it went on for quite a time, and it would happen like even in front of her, and just kept going on and on. She was like, what does this friend look like? Because, you know, my mom, she believes in ghosts and stuff. So she's like, okay, who are you talking to, right? What does he look like? What's his name? And I was like, his name is Friend. He didn't give me a name. It's just Friend. And then one day we were in her room, and I'm like, no, don't go. And I guess he was saying to me, it's time for me to go. And so then I was like, okay. And he like went into my mom's closet, or my dad's closet. And then that was the end of that. Well, like a week later, my uncle came down from New York with a photo album, and we're looking through the photo album, and I pointed out my friend. I said, that's my friend right there. That's friend. And it was my father's mother. I'm sorry, it was my mother's father. And it was my pop-pop who had died a few years of an aneurysm before I was born. And I had not seen a picture of him. Plus I'm 2, you know, and that was the reason why my uncle was bringing the photo album, because he had found these photos of Dad. And so she like was like, holy shit, you've been talking to my dad this whole time. And he's telling me things like everything's going to be okay. And, you know, I would tell her like, my friend is really big and he's super, super nice. And he's like a big bear. He's really tall and just, you know, but yeah. So, and then after that, anytime I would see stuff all the damn time. And so would my brother. Like we would see the same thing. We were standing upstairs looking down at the window that went outside. I still can remember it vividly. This green man. He was like, it was almost like he was electric, like he was emanating electricity. He was just like in the shape of a man, but he was like this neon, like not neon, but this bright green. And I'm looking at it, and my brother comes out of his room and he looks at it and he goes, do you see what I see? I said, I don't know. What do you see? He goes, well, where do you see it? And I pointed. I was like, at that window. He goes, is it green? I said, yeah, it's a green man. Like, and he goes, yes, I see it. So me and my brother, we very, very much used to see the same thing when we were little. And even when we got older, that's happened with me and my mother. This one house I lived in, I was a teenager at this time. And this is the bicycle guy, right? I remember I told you about the kid that was outside and then he rode his bicycle down the alleyway in between the houses. And I ran outside to be like, who are you? And he just disappeared. So, I mean, I've had way too many experiences in my life to say that it doesn't exist.
You know, I find strange too. It's like, because when I was young, I saw so much stuff too. And so did my brother and my sister. But, you know, they kind of like shunned it as they got older. And I kind of embraced it and followed like, well, I need to figure this out.
Right.
But it's almost like you expect everybody. Like I always thought everyone saw things when they're young. I mean, even with my own kids, are you seeing things? They're like, no, what are you talking about, Mom? Like, I wanted them to see ghosts. I wanted them to see what I saw. And none of them had that ability. And I'm like, why? Why can't they see anything? It's strange because you just would think people would have the same experiences, but it's not that common. Like,
no, it's not
that common for people to see the things that we, and then it stops. It's like, it stops around 5.
Because of society, right? So when you're little, you got no filter.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Older,
like,
you learn to filter. You learn to block it.
When I got a little bit older,
it
was a little bit older. It was more like so like I said, my dad was, when he was younger, when he was very sensitive. And I remember once I can't remember, it's a long time ago. And it was some in the afternoon or something. And I saw, and you know, sometimes with depending on certain kind of spirits, you kind of see them out of your peripheral vision. And I was in the room with my dad and I looked up and I looked at this spirit that passed, and my dad looked at the same thing. And I said, Daddy, did you see that? And he went, that was nothing. And that's when it's like, no, you know. And I remember when my grandfather died, and my grandfather came to me and, you know, trying to communicate with me to console my grandmother. And everyone's like, how dare you, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And I was a teenager. So at some point when you get a little bit older, depending on how you grow up and what your conditioning is like, but as you say, some people, I think it's because they're afraid. For me, it's something quite
because it's startling as shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You never get used to it.
No,
I suppose you have to be born weird. I'm just
but I mean, you know, it's kind of like, it's startling, you know. I mean, when you look, there's no one there, and then all of a sudden there's something there. I mean, it's startling, and you don't ever grow out of that, you know. And sometimes it is scary, but it's just like when you're manifesting an entity, the fear is outweighed by the curiosity.
Absolutely. But for me, I don't like when they sneak up on me. I live at the crossroads, and ever since, so I have an open gateway 24/7. And sometimes we do mundane stuff. I'm washing the dishes, and it's like, oh, oh, it's you. And then I'm starting to speak. It's like, and it depends on who manifests. Like, Eldora probably told you about. There's the spirit of this little boy.
No, I haven't told. I was just about to tell.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so I'll just tell a little bit. Okay, so she lives in a really haunted house, I guess. And she was we were talking, and she was telling me that she has to go give porridge to this little boy the ghost boy. And I'm like, aw, I'm like, that's so cute. And she was talking about him. I'm like, you know what? If he wants to come and visit me, let's do some experimenting here. So what we did was we got his name. We couldn't understand his name because he talks in the Gaelic language.
Yeah, it's very, very.
He died horrible, but he's always hungry. But what happened was, I had a dream about him that night, and he came to me in my dreams, and I didn't realize it was him until like later on in the day, and I'm driving, and I'm like, oh shit. That little boy was eating like he was eating so weird, like he was just so hungry. And I remember in my dream, eating.
And he probably starved to death.
He starved. So we came up with a sigil for him, and we did. We were trying to open the gates to see if he can pass the sigil, come hang out with me, have some porridge, go back to Scotland. Or where do you live? Scotland. Yeah, go back to Scotland.
Yeah, go back to Scotland.
Come back here, but it seemed he didn't want to come. So I don't know. We're trying to do some experimenting to we have Hekate.
He might be held there by another force and he can't leave or something.
But it all depends, because when he comes, he's very much like a child. A few days ago, I think just as we entered the new moon in Libra, no, sometimes depending on how deep into sleep I go, and I astral traveled again at the moment. So for me, I can't control when I astral travel, but it's something that I'm working on. And when I saw him on the astral plane, so he was in my room, and he had like two siblings with him, and then he was speaking about the other spirits in my room. Now the most predominant one is talks about in my temple, which is Belial, and then there are, because it's at a crossroads, quite often there are spirits that pass through. And he didn't say, he was just here. So as Scarlett, as you said, it's very likely that he could be kept here by another spirit, and depending on how he died. But his sigil is still open, and I did call him, so I'll see what happens on the new moon. If
maybe where he died.
Yeah, it's okay. So where I live now, parts of I'm probably sounding like a tour guide now, but I'm fascinated with history. And the area that I live was part of the old waterfront, and so there used to be these old Victorian tenements, and about as up until about 150 years ago, you had like Victorian tenements, so abject poverty, and the child mortality rate, like children from the age of, quite often, 70% of children are, between the ages of, I think, a few months, and they didn't make it past the second birthday. And so later now he likes to be called William. He didn't like the name that we gave him. We called him Goobly. We called him Goobly Goglak. He's like, my name is William. And I think what happened was he died of either cholera or dysentery. And they never knew. He never had a steady meal. So when I leave some porridge out for him, and Eldora, you've seen as well, when he eats, it's just, and it's all over. I have to tell him, like, just calm down, don't burn your mouth, like, sit, it's fine. And then after he gets his sustenance, and he just goes away again. Yeah. So, but he's a very interesting spirit, definitely.
See, but what I don't understand is if he's able to come to me, or maybe I went to him in astral, because how was I able to perceive him in my astral realm, but I can't bring him physically? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want him here. How come? Because they don't really have any it's energy. So if I'm able to connect with him there, how can I'm trying? That's what we're trying to figure out. How can I get him?
Unless it's that we've got a connection, you and I, because through our friendship, so maybe inadvertently he's connecting to you through my link with you. That's a possibility. I don't know yet. I don't know enough about this yet. Maybe someone in the audience knows more about this, but William is more like he was alive. He's not like a god or an entity. He was actually a living person who died because of circumstance. So as far as a spirit's concerned, I mean, he's yeah.
Yeah. But
So we
anyways,
don't.
I would,
But interesting, fascinating stuff.
I would try opening the portal where he died, and that might be why he
Mhm.
doesn't want to leave. You know, if he's got siblings, then he doesn't.
that's
wanna
what I
leave.
think.
Or
The
if he-
siblings.
What keeps him here? He's very worried about his siblings and his mother. So what he explained to me is he's like, "Where's my brother?" Because
Okay, you have to open
yeah.
you have to open the portal for all of them, not just him.
All right.
That's
Okay.
yeah.
I'm definitely gonna do that. I think we'll do that next.
Yeah, we'll do it again, and
Yeah.
I'll open up names, and we'll make the sigils. Because okay, this is the thing we were thinking, Scarlett. This is what we do. This is what witches do. Okay, we think witches. If we come up with a sigil for trapped spirits to be able to travel, like a green card, you know, they can come in Canada and then they can go back to their home. But at least we can create this vortex where they can come in and they're not, because we all know that they're not really.
Why? What's the purpose? That's, you know.
So they're not. I don't know. So I feel like to be able to experience the same spirit at the, like if she has I don't know, it's more just a scientific experiment to see if we can get these shades to travel rather than being locked down and then like just staying at the same place.
Think of it this way: if when you have parts work, you know, and we pull up the internal parts of ourself, they're stuck in the trauma until we come up and reorient them, and then have them put their emotional baggage like into a container to when we can come back to it. And then you give them a new place to live in the home base so that they're not re-experiencing their trauma over and over again. Well, why are they in that trauma? Why are they locked in? Why were they created? They were created so that the fronting part that has to do the everyday duties doesn't get played with these emotions and these thoughts and these flashbacks, right? So this child part will hold that for the frontal part. Now, when does it come up? It comes up when you get triggered, and it triggers that part of the emotional response, and the fronting personality is not able to stay. And then that will come forward. That's when you get that huge blow up. Now, that part is only concerned and knowledgeable about whatever it is that it's holding. It's trying to resolve this trauma that it's experiencing over and over and over again because it's stuck in that moment in time. So just like this ghost is stuck in that moment of time, he understands because, you know, you're living in that area. You know, they're kind of always been, I always see they're like locked in almost, you know, it's when spirits like that are overly concerned about consuming, getting eat. So he's not worried about, I want to travel and see the world. He's like, I'm giving something to freaking eat because I'm hungry all the time. And at the same time, what do I do to get my brother and my mother out of this? Right. And they're same thing too. So
we were thinking too, like, I mean, if I can get them over here and let's say I have a message and I can send it back and the message can go back to her, you know what I mean? You can have them like working for you. Like I do work with spirits that do work for me, but I'm not able to transport them the way that I'm thinking we were trying to think.
You can't force a spirit, right? Like you can't really force a, you have to ask it to leave the present home, right? So if he's not willing to leave his mother and his siblings to come transport into your thing, he's not going to want to have any part of that. That's not part of his agenda or part of his cycle of what to do. You're better off, if you want this boy to have peace, is to find out the names of the siblings and the mother, create a sigil for that. And then maybe from those sigils, you can create a full family sigil. And then wherever it is that they died, at the crossroads, or if it's in the house where you're at now, that's where I would open the portal. And I would encourage them all to go into the portal together. You know, you have to reorient them. You have to explain to them, you know, what you're doing, why they should go in there. Because somewhere along the lines, they missed their ride for whatever reason. Maybe they missed the ride because the child died first and he didn't want to go without the mother. And then the mother lost another child and another child. And then she was just so distraught with herself from all of her kids dying. Then she got sick and then she died.
Yeah.
And now that they're
Well,
together.
in this case, the mother died first. Yeah. And then it was his younger brother. And then, but they died within a day. So, on the same kind of day. And so William's concern is, so in William's mind, he's 10 years old. So he understands what death is. So he said, Mommy died, but I can't find my brother. Where's he?
Yeah.
So I think that's his link.
is it.
But going forward, so I recently, now that I'm living by myself, so I've got a space in the house that I'm going to set up as a temple, and that I can consecrate, and that I can focus on this. So definitely keep that. I will let you know what I find out, and once if I can call them forth and if I can communicate with all of them. Because I had another spirit in the house when I moved in, and he was really funny. I didn't know about him. It was completely random. I moved in November, and this was just before Halloween, and I was sitting downstairs. So it's like the flat's got 2 levels. So I had downstairs, which's got a garden, and an upstairs. So I was watching a movie, and the next moment I just heard someone singing, but in really broad Scots. So like, okay. And so I switched, I put the sound off, and I'm like, okay, quiet. Put the volume, and I'm like, okay, who's here? What's your name? And then someone just started speaking to me.
Right.
And my housemate, she's a shaman. She's a death midwife. So I told her about this. She goes, oh, I completely forgot to tell you about him. It turns out he was really happy. I still don't know yet. And I'm sure this is something that Hekate will explain to me in the future. But he was really happy that I moved in because he knew that I would help him to cross over. Don't know what I did. So during Halloween, I did a bonfire outside. I lit some candles. I called him forth, and I said, well, I called him Old Jock. Let me guide your way to where you need to go. And I left the door open for several hours, and his energy just cleared. And he pops in like quite often. He likes it 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So he now and then he pops into the house just to come and keep an eye on me. Because as he said to me on the astral plane, he likes coming to visit because I always have his favorite tea cakes. So sometimes on the astral plane, like he's in the kitchen, like going through my cupboards, and he just comes to see how I'm doing. So that was really interesting.
And see, that's the thing. You released him from the spa area, perhaps, because now he can go freely.
Yeah, because I said, like, Jog, so basically focus on the light. I lit some candles. I called him forth. And then as we're through the door, because of course it was Halloween, the veil was much thinner. And I left the door open and I sang a song for him as well. I can't sing. But that whole, because funeral customs in the old days, like people used to sing you across when you died. It's the same when you're giving birth. People sing you into this reality, and when you're about to die, they sing you across. And I still don't know. Sorry?
They don't sing when you're delivering now.
No.
Maybe that's our problems. We don't get sung to when we're coming into this fucking world.
My best friend just gave birth, and she's tiny. Baby was 4.8 kilograms, the biggest baby I've ever seen. I went like, how did you do it?
Wow.
She said she's still in the hospital, so she gives me daily updates. But childbirth, I think. But of course, you had people singing for you, because if you've given birth, there's no chance you can sing.
Right. It's probably the breathing in it.
Yeah.
He gets you to start working with the dead. It just comes with, like, for me anyways, anytime I start working with Hekate again, it's going to the graveyards, it's doing the work, it's cross. It's like, it's a huge part of what Hekate is. It's going to
you should see me the other day. I was walking along the street with a massive shovel.
Why?
It's fascinating though. Sometimes, because look, I'm dressed all in black. I've got a hood and a cape, and I've got a massive shovel. And what's interesting? When I'm doing things in the graveyard, of course, you call the cloak of Hekate. And I live in a city, and you thinking, oh my God, someone's gonna catch me. Whenever I'm doing things to do, no one sees you. It's like you literally go into the other realm. And it was interesting. And as soon as I leave the work that I need to, and then all of a sudden I'm as visible as a whatever, as a boil, I guess. But that was quite funny.
A boil. You're so Scottish. That's like oh my God. I wanted to say, what have you guys experienced? For me, I do get premonitions, and I'm wondering, how do you guys get premonitions too? And the type of premonitions I get, like a real premonitions, I'll have a dream of the situation, and I won't realize until I'm in that situation. I'm like, holy fuck, I had a dream about this. Have you guys experienced any before? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Mine comes in. Sorry, go ahead. Yes, please.
No. I can't reveal too much, but I'm going to be honest. I'm really worried about what's going on in Europe right now. And I think more people should be, because of the rise of the cost of living, and it affects all of us. And whether we like it or not, it's World War III. It's where some people might not agree, but some of the stuff that even when the war started, and things that's been revealed to me that's already come to pass. And unfortunately, there are some things that we can't reveal, because some things it's more for us to keep ourselves safe. But yeah, it's scary when you know things, and the gods are telling you, well, we're just only telling you, but you can't tell anyone else. And I don't know how have you ever found that what do you do, for example, if someone asks you for help and you read the tarot and you speak to the gods and they give you a premonition and it's not good?
You tell them.
I find that kind of hard, because what do you do if someone tells you, I don't know, unless it is to protect them, to get them out of, but I don't know. I mean,
I think if they know they have, and I think you should tell them and let them. Yeah, you shouldn't hide that, like, because think about if it was reversed, wouldn't you want to know if someone knew something?
Absolutely. And then sometimes I ask them, because I'm very open with things. If I was like, yeah, cool, if you want to know the answer, here you go. But then sometimes, and I still don't know yet, I just get a voice like, I don't want you to say this. And then I'm thinking, okay, why? So I do, but then if I can't say, then I do like to give hints, because I feel the same as you. I mean, I'd much rather want to know. I'd like to prepare. What's the point of premonition, and what's the point of magic if you can't help other people?
Yeah.
If they didn't want them to know, they probably wouldn't have said anything. If it was
really coming to you for a reading, right?
Sorry?
Exactly. Yeah.
They wouldn't be coming to you for a reading if they didn't want to know.
That's right.
I had a couple one time come to me for a reading, and his final card was the Tower. And I did the reading. I was like, there's a big change coming for you.
Yeah.
And there's some type of transformation, and it was like leading up to the Tower. And I was like, this could mean several different things. And he ended up dying. And the same day when I started her reading, it started with the Tower.
Yeah.
And I told her what her reading was. I said, well, this is going to be after some tragedy. Like, I wasn't putting them together, but I said, there's going to be a change, a transformation. Something will happen with you and your husband. I almost said his name. And there's this big change that's going to happen between the two of you. But going forward from this is what it looks like. And I was telling her about, you're going to have this, great life, and you're going to meet somebody else. And she got mad at me. She's like, I would never cheat on my husband. And I was like, I'm not saying that you're going to. I'm just telling you what the cards are telling me. Well, he ended up dying like a few months later, some tragic accident or something like that. It was unexpected. And then when I heard that, it made total sense. It was like, wow. But I do get premonitions. I knew in August, the year before my father died, I knew in August that he was going to die in May. I just kept having this feeling. And that's how my intuition usually comes. It comes like an internal knowledge, I guess I get a feeling like in the middle of my body, and then I just kind of listen to it. And if it's strong enough, like that feeling, I kept asking too, like, with tarot cards. I think he's going to die in August. I mean, I think he's going to die in May. I think he's going to die in May. And, it just was really strange. And then he did die in May last year. So, that's how my intuition comes with things, people, or how I read people's energies or something like that. When I was younger, I used to be able to just look into someone's eyes, and it was almost like I felt like felt like I was tumbling forward when I looked into someone's eyes and I would give them a reading. I don't know what that's about. Maybe I was about to leave my body or something. I don't know.
You're going possessed.
But yeah, it was weird. It would be weird when it would happen. And I would give these accurate readings about their past and their future, and it would freak people out. So I stopped doing it that way. I guess it's uncomfortable to look somebody in their eyes and be like, this is what happens in your life, and this is what's going to happen, and here's the answer to your question. So it's been a while.
But when you do tarot readings, at least you can say, oh, for some odd reason, you can just say, oh no, it's the tarot, it's not me. You can almost deflect. Because I had, it's very rare that I've done a reading and it actually spoke about physical death. I did a reading for a woman. It was just a 3-card reading, just past, present, and future, a general one. And I could see sometimes you can just tell in someone's body language that they're going through, some issues. And when I saw that, now I thought, oh God, so this is bad news. How do you say that in a nice, positive way? And so I said, well, unfortunately, I do see a lot of transformation because I saw, physical death and things. And I started talking about, like, quite often death is more traumatic for the people left behind, because the first thing that happens is things that we didn't say, that we didn't do. So I started concentrating. I said, like, if you've got someone who might be ill, try and communicate, be with them as much as possible so that you're around with them when they cross over, when they die. And she says, my husband is dying of cancer and I can't get hold of my daughter. We've been trying. I said, and then I forgot about it. She did a reading. In the end, I had to give her a hug. I just had to kind of, because I felt, sometimes when you tell someone something like that, you just need to kind of give them the reassurance. And I forgot about it until a few months later, and she ran into me and she says, thank you so much for that reading, because I managed to get hold of my daughter and we managed to we come together and we were all there when it was his time to go. So, and in that case,
you can give that type of advice to people, and it also gives them an opportunity to kind of change the trajectory.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's not for me to tell people what to do. I mean, like I explained to people, divination and magic and all of these things are tools to enable us to enhance our lives. Now, I can give someone advice, but whether or not they're going to take it, that's up to them,
Yeah, I agree.
I hate watching like TikToks and the tarot cards how they do it now. It's like almost like it's taken that magical part of the tarot card away completely. Like some people are just, I don't know. There's just something about some of them, and you're just like, oh God, this is getting
Ladies,
annoying.
don't even get me started on TikTok.
Away from it.
My God, there seems to be, especially with I think what we might have mentioned this in a previous comment, like during lockdown, you have, there were, even on the BBC, there were these young teenage girls. So they picked up a book about witchcraft. Now, all of a sudden, they're offering classes. And to me, so much of what they're practicing, I'm not saying is wrong, but it's mindfulness. It's not particularly witchcraft as we know and experience it.
Right.
And so much of it's diluted and watered down. And it's just, oh my goodness. And I'm thinking, and I suppose what's even more interesting, you have people actually studying their craft, and they watch a few TikTok videos, and now they call themselves consultants, and it's insane. It really is.
Yeah.
So I'm purposefully not on TikTok.
I'm on there. I don't really do like creations or anything, but
it just creeps people.
I do. My feed is full of like mental health stuff and comedy. There's some funny shit on there.
There is some funny, but you know what? Some people are just crazy. Like I watched some of
I'm
their live.
too old for that stuff. Like when it comes to technology, oh my goodness. I mean, I can't even send an email most days.
Oh god, I have like 10,000. I have to clean up my email, and I just don't want to because there's so many emails. I have like. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up because I got something to do, and I'm sure you ladies too have stuff to do. I don't know. You're 3 hours. Wait, what time is it for you right now?
Yeah, it's 4:12.
Oh, and I'm 7:12, and you are.
And for me, it's almost 1:15 midnight, the witching hour.
Oh,
well,
wow.
witching hour is 3:00, but.
Okay. Well, thanks guys for hopping on. And
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Same here. Yeah, it was loads of fun. Let's do it again sometime.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Have a good evening, and till we meet again.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, ladies. Have a good one.